Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Anne and today I'm bringing you my October wrap up. In October I read 21 books, so I thought that I would break this video up into two parts. So this is my October wrap up part 1. So I'm going to give you some of my reading statistics for the month and then I'll get into my reviews of the books that I read. So in the month of October, as I just said, I've read 21 books. 10 of those are physical, 1 of them was an audiobook, and 10 were ebooks. I gave 14 books 5 stars, 2 books 4 stars, 3 books 3 stars, I didn't give any 2 stars, and I gave 2 books 1 star. I read 14 young adult, 6 adult, and 1 middle grade. I read 7 fantasy, 1 sci-fi, 6 contemporary, 1 historical fiction, and 6 thriller. So I've read a lot of different genres. I read a lot of different books and I really enjoyed a lot of them. As you can see, 14 5-star books and 2 4-star books and 3 3-stars. They're pretty good ratings for all the books that I read, and only gave 2 books 1 star. So the 1 stars that I gave was A Proclivity to Prurience. I just really did not like the story at all. It wasn't the type of story that I enjoyed. I thought it was going to be something different than what I went into. And the author does say it is very explicit, which I went in knowing. And it is recommended for 18 plus. So it is an adult novel. This is about Joe, who has this obsession with Abby, who is his best friend's mother. And he wanted to sleep with this mother, and tragedy strikes and he doesn't get what he wants, and some things I really did not like the story. The author did say that a lot of scenes would construed as rape, and in my opinion they did not construed as rape, they were rape, and I just didn't really like the story and I don't want to talk about it anymore. The next book that I gave 1 star was The Death and Life of Penny Pitstop. Now this is a financial crime-based thriller that is about the death and life of Penny Pitstop. So we follow Penny and her journey as a corporate lawyer with her husband, who is a trader, and we get told that he has to choose between his wife or his job, and honestly we don't see that until the last few chapters in the book, and this is a long book. I skipped so many chapters, just skimmed through them, and I knew exactly what was going on. I thought it was going to be something different than what I got, and unfortunately it's not what I got, so I had to give it 1 star because I was completely bored out of my mind. I slogged through this book, and it's very like Leopold Borstinsky's first book that I read, The Heist, a lot of sex, drug abuse, and things like that, and I just wasn't happy with what was in the story. The books that I gave 3 stars were, the first book was Eden Burning. Now this is the historical fiction, and it's based on the Troubles in Northern Ireland. So we follow 2 families on 2 different sides of this war, and for the first 50% of the story, I was very confused. I didn't know who the characters were, I didn't understand what was going on, and I was very confused. So I was very confused, and when I hit the 50% mark, things started to come together, and I felt like a lot of things could have been skipped from the first 50% of the book so people could get an understanding a lot quicker, but unfortunately that didn't happen. Once I did start to understand what was going on and who the people were within the story and what their involvement was within this plot, I did enjoy it a lot more. But the thing that kind of docked those 2 stars was the 50% of the book I had no idea what was going on, and the other star that I docked was because of the decisions that were made at the end of the story that just did not make sense to me. So these people had these strong beliefs. They were fighting a war for these beliefs, and all of a sudden, because a truth was revealed, these people became different people. Their whole mindset changed, and I just felt like it was really unrealistic, and it was a good story, but some of the things just didn't add up, and I feel like a lot of the first half of the book could have been taken out and would have made a lot more sense. Within the story, there's a lot of violence, there is rape, there's a lot of content warnings within the story, so if you're looking to get into this story, I suggest you look into the content warnings before getting into it, just to make sure that you don't get triggered. The next book that I gave 3 stars was In the Wake. Now this story was another thriller, and we follow a woman who owns her own business as a public relations specialist, and in one of the businesses that she runs, there's a murder, and it turns out that she knows the person who was murdered. So we follow her as she tries to figure out who murdered this person, why this person was murdered, and how she actually is connected to this person. And it just didn't hit the mark for me. There was a lot of cheating within the story. There was a lot of, I don't even know. It was an okay story. I enjoyed reading it, but it didn't shock me. Some of the twists did catch me by surprise, but it wasn't amazing. The next book that I gave, the last book that I gave 3 stars is The How and Why by Cynthia Han. Now, this is another ebook that I received to review on my blog, and I enjoyed reading this story. It's about a young girl, Cassandra, who was adopted, and when she's 18, she finds out that she has these letters from her mother, her biological mother, that she wrote for her as, for her to read as she's older. I did enjoy this story. There is content warnings for racism, mentions of abortion, mentions of adoption, obviously, because this whole story is about adoption. So, and there is some other trigger warnings that I can't remember right off the top of my head, but just make sure you look into them before you go into this story. I really enjoyed the story, but I didn't really connect very well with the story, because obviously I'm not adopted, but I did enjoy it, and I did connect with the main character in some way that isn't to do with the adoption. Her mother is ill, and I understand that a lot because my mum was ill a lot of the time throughout my childhood. So I did enjoy this. I just felt like it didn't really, I thought it was going to be this girl's search for her adoptive mother, and in a way it kind of was that, but it wasn't at the same time. It was more about her life and her trying to go to college, and it was an okay story. I did enjoy it, but it just did not hit the mark for me, unfortunately, and I feel like the ending was a bit convenient, and it just didn't sit very well with me. And then the next book I'm going to be talking about is the first book that I gave 4 stars, and that was Murder Trending. I really enjoyed this story. I got it out from the library on a whim because the cover seemed gorgeous, and I was really excited to get into this one. I did pick up this one kind of on a whim and in a mood read, because I was in the middle of, I was reading Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody, and I just didn't feel like it, so I picked up Murder Trending instead of Ace of Shades. So this story is about Dee, who lives in the near future, where Alcatraz 2.0 has been rebuilt to send these vicious, ferocious, cruel people to Alcatraz, where there's live feeds of these people getting murdered because they are convicted criminals. It turns out that Dee gets sent there for supposedly murdering her stepsister, and she's innocent, or that's what we're told, So yeah, I really enjoyed the story. It was very psychological and really clever. So we followed Dee making friends who are called the Death Row Breakfast Club, which I really thought was funny. We see relationships form, and we follow Dee trying to survive, people trying to murder her. I gave this 4 stars because I really enjoyed it, and I was going to be a 5-star read until some of the things just seemed very unrealistic to me. Like just some of the scenes that happen, I was kind of like, I don't think that would happen. But I really enjoyed it, and it is definitely a spooky, great read. And another book that I gave 4 stars is Raven Lane. I got this from NetGalley to review, so make sure you check out that review. It should be on my blog before this video goes up. So this is a thriller where this woman's husband is accused of the murder of their neighbor, and it secrets unfold, you know, the normal thriller kind of aspects. There's secrets, people have secrets, they all come out, and shit hits the fan. This also involves cheating, this also involves rape, and there's some content warnings within this story, so just make sure you go and check that out. I really did enjoy this story, but I just feel like it was an okay thriller that, you know, didn't really do much, and it's quite forgettable if I'm being honest, so that's that. And now getting into some of the books that I gave 5 stars. So the first book that I gave 5 stars this month was Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This is the first book in the Shadow and Bone trilogy, or also known as the Grisha trilogy, and I loved it. As you can see, I tabbed it up. I really enjoyed it, and if you don't know what this series is about, it's about Elena Starkov, who is a normal, average human, or so she thinks, and she is a map maker for the First Army, and they are going through the Fold, which is this scary, monstrous place where monsters are there and they kill people, and they get attacked while they're going through the Fold, and magic bursts out of her, and she ends up being a Grisha. So she ends up being sent to train and become a Grisha for the Darkling's army. Trouble ensues, and it's amazing. I really enjoyed this story. At first I had no idea why everyone hated Mal, and I reading this one, but reading the second one I kind of understood why everyone hates Mal. But yeah, this was a 5-star read, absolutely loved it, and I really could not wait to read more of the Grishaverse. So I did pick up Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. So this is the second book. Obviously I'm not going to talk about it because it will be spoiling for the first book. But as you can see, I tabbed this up again, really enjoyed it, and I really loved some of the characters that we were introduced to within the story. I found it so funny, a lot of funny moments. So the orange tabs are the funny moments that I really enjoyed. The new character we met is Nikolai, and he is my favorite. I love him. He's so funny. He had me cracking up. And most of the tabs that are orange are from Nikolai's being Nikolai. The one middle grade book that I read was City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. This is a story about Cassidy Blake, who had a near-death experience and who can see ghosts now because of that near-death experience. And we are following her story of where her parents are traveling around the world to the most haunted places in the world to find ghosts and create a documentary. And obviously, because they are going to the most haunted places in the world and Cassidy can see ghosts, trouble happens. So we follow Cassidy in Edinburgh in the first book, City of Ghosts, and I really enjoyed it. The friendship dynamic between Cassidy and her best friend Jacob, who is a ghost and who she can only see, was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was kind of spooky, but it wasn't terrifying. So it's definitely a good read if you want something kind of spooky but don't want to be scared or up all night. Another book that I read and gave 5 stars was Dorothy in the Land of Monsters. So I gave this book 5 stars. Obviously it is a Wizard of Oz retelling where there is vampires, there is werewolves. It was amazing. I absolutely loved this story. It was so amusing, so just chef's kiss. It was absolutely amazing. I loved it and I cannot wait for the next book in this series to come out. So get writing, Garton. I absolutely love this story. Wizard of Oz retelling. Amazing. I mean, I'm almost... So that is it for my October wrap-up part 1. I will be uploading part 2 soon, so make sure you check it out. And I will be talking about some of the other 5-star reads that I gave in the month of October. So if you like this video, please make sure you like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoyed this video and if you'd like to see more from me. So bye!